The weekly Q&A. I know most of you guys aren't awake yet, especially in North America, but we're going to have some awesome stuff today for those of you who catch the replay. And you guys are probably getting used to me beating the idea of the offer being the most important thing about this and your strategy as well. We haven't really talked as much about that. I'm planning on doing something on Wednesday, just so you guys know, where I'm gonna go into detail about something that I notice a lot of you guys are doing with your offers that makes it really hard for people to pay you, and then requires more volume. You got to like pitch thousands of people just to get a yes. When you fix this one thing, and it's so simple when you think about it, but nobody does it. It'll be a whole lot easier for people to say yes to you. And I've noticed there's a lot of people in this group who are in the situation where you've got a couple of clients, but now you need it to like be steady, not just to be dependent on one, two, three, four clients or whatever for your entire livelihood, especially with everything that's going on Corona. So, gonna put together a what's up, brother? I see. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Ola Di Pupo. That's quite the name, brother. It's good to have you here and welcome. So if you're in a situation, you got a couple of clients, you want it to be way more predictable. The workshop, what we're going to do is, and this is about getting something done. So when I say workshop, like we're actually implementing, rather than just like, teaching or whatever. But what we'll be doing is, making your offer like wider, easier to say yes to, easier so you don't have to talk to people. You still will hear no sometimes, but a lot less. What would it be like if you could get 4 out of 10 or 5 out of 10 people that you just randomly message to say, yeah, I want that? It would be a lot easier. And then we're going to get into some conversations with some business owners and get you some sales, which as long as you have your offer in place is a whole lot easier. It's like it requires a lot less sales techniques. So if you're interested in that, shoot me a private message. Enough about that. Let's get into the Q&A. Just got to look at my other computer. Looking for recommendations. My number of clients has increased significantly so that creating monthly reports for all of them is becoming a huge task. We are performing multi-channel strategies for some of our clients. For example, Google ads, Facebook ads, and SEO strategy. Having said that, I'm looking for a report platform that can integrate Google, Facebook, Instagram, and Google Analytics for SEO reports, for creating reports for each client. Thank you in advance for your recommendation. I lost the name on there. I'm sorry. I didn't write that down in my notes. So this is something I actually struggled with as well for years. As far as I can tell, there is no such software, especially when you start getting across platforms. Like Facebook's internal stuff is really good for tracking Facebook, Google's for Google. But when you start doing multiple platforms, there just isn't one system. If you guys want to create a great offer, any of you that are really good at software, just make that and you'll have tons of people paying you, because I would have paid you many years ago and this person would have as well. I'll tell you what helped me with that, at least as a workaround, is one, having a standard operating procedure for your client reports, because they really want to know four things. Like most people send client reports that are just software generated and they're terrible and clients hate them and they don't understand them. They want to know what results you got for them, how much did it cost, the service, obviously, like how much you guys need to talk about, and what's the other one I'm forgetting, I'm blanking on because I'm so tired. It's the time involved. So if you cover those four things, the service, the time, the cost, and the communications, the best way I found is actually just to make a little 5-minute screen capture video. And if you have this one little 3-letter acronym, SOP, standard operating procedure, you can get your virtual assistants or your salespeople to knock these out for you. But there really isn't one good software that does all the different platforms, at least that I know of. Sharo says, SMMA owners, social media marketing owners, how consistent are your monthly profits? Example, I see a lot of interviews on YouTube about how their students made 12K in profit. Hold on, my sentence cut off here. Well, what about next month? To be honest, that's a big part of your offer and how you structure it. If you structure it, and I'm a big fan of this, and we haven't really got into this in this group, because I know a lot of you guys are more in the beginning stages where you're just trying to get clients consistently in the first place. But a lot of it is how you structure the payment terms. So I'm a big fan of like doing things that are like consulting work where I get paid once, but then I take them in payment terms. So I might help a client do something for like a VIP day for like $25,000 and then accept payments of $2,000 for the next, 12, 13 months. You do stuff like that, what you'll find is your payments get a whole lot consistent. The two most successful companies in the world, insurance companies and banks, all get paid in recurring payments. So the more you can structure your offers so that you get recurring payments, the more consistent your profit will be. Now, obviously, you have to justify the value in doing that. Like nobody's just going to pay you recurring money just because. But if you do that, you're going to find it's a whole lot easier. Um, Mel says, my Facebook ad account got blocked. I have no clue why. I read the policy a couple of times. I'm 100% sure I didn't break any rules. I already asked for feedback, but I don't seem to get response from Facebook on that. I'm only blocked on one account, but on my two business accounts, it got blocked while I was running an ad. Does anyone know what I can do to fix this? Mel, it sucks when you get your Facebook ad account. I've actually had it a couple of times where like we were crushing it with Facebook ads, giving them, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and then they close your account. It's a real bitch, to be honest. And I have a love-hate relationship with Facebook for that reason, because you're not the first person who got their account banned for not breaking any rules, no warnings, and then you can't reach them and there's no customer support. So I would tell you two things. One, you just got to start a new account. I've never really had any success or know anyone who's had a lot of success with getting accounts back. You have to find a new payment source. That's probably the most creative part. You might have to get a new credit card or something like that. To never use the same payment source because they'll automatically block you. That's one of the things. And then the second thing I would say is don't make your business 100% dependent on Facebook ads in the first place. Like fuck Facebook and fuck having Facebook control your entire livelihood. So don't let them do that. Jean-Christophe, anyone else getting paid exclusively from commissions on closed deals for leads that you bring in? I wanted to try this model, so I started working that way with a new HVAC client and brought in over $20,000 Canadian in the first 2 months from 100% commissions. For you guys doing this, what are some of the hacks and tricks and common mistakes for this kind of revenue model? So mistakes, firstly, is taking on clients who aren't going to pay you. So that's like the biggest thing that can go wrong is you take on clients and you actually get them results and then they don't pay you. So the first thing I like to do is I like to run a very small test campaign, something I can do with them for the first 48 hours. And then the first 40 hours, I'll tell them, I'm testing you to see how you handle payments. If you're late or if there's any issues or anything, I take it as a sign of things to come, and this will be the last deal we do. But if you like making $20,000 that I'm taking all the risk for, then let's keep doing this and let's make it work for both of us. But that's the biggest thing is getting into deals where it takes you a long time. So don't do anything longer than it would take you 48 hours to generate a result for somebody, because you want to know really quickly whether they're going to pay you, because you don't want to be chasing your money long after the fact. It really sucks when that happens, by the way. By the way, it's just water. I'm not like chugging coffee, although it'd probably be a good idea today. So yeah, so that's the biggest thing. And then as well, as far as getting them results, the biggest tip I have for you is they're sitting on mountains of customers that you could probably easily generate referrals from and repeat business before you go to Google and Facebook and all these things. And I'm not saying not to do those things, but don't go after the hard money first. Go after the easy money and get them a really big quick win. And they'll be open to all your long-term stuff with that. So that's my advice for you, Jean-Christophe. Kiana, does anyone know where I could find a good sales rep or know anyone who's good in sales? Preston Ron in this group is a wizard with that stuff, not just personally, but he knows a lot of the people doing that thing. Having said that, before you go and hire a salesperson, get your offer dialed in, because if you're trying to cover up for the fact that it's not working, you're going to chase money, and your salesperson, you'll just make it hard on a salesperson. If it's hard for you, it's probably going to be hard for a salesperson. If you're doing it because you're too busy and your sales are working and you're getting calls booked and you just don't have time to take them all, that's one thing. But if you're thinking, oh, I don't know how to close, I don't know how to sell, I wish I could just pay somebody to do it, chances are your offer's broken and you're just going to bring in a new person to find out the same thing, and then you'll blame it on the salesperson. So don't do that. Make sure you get that piece dialed in. Alexander, anyone in this group know someone who can do a logo for $100 to $200 looking to get started ASAP? Alexander, I've had the best luck with that with Fiverr, but there is one caveat, which is I've had people use Fiverr and they go, oh, it's all shit and they're all bad. You have to have an example logo or an example project or an example design that you like and say, I want something like this. The more clear and specific you can give instructions, the more they'll do it. The more you just say, design me something nice, you're going to be unhappy because you're not clear about what you want. So if you want to have success with any designer, there's a gazillion logo designers on Fiverr who'll do this stuff for like maybe like $8, $10. But you have to know what you want. So find like 2 or 3 logos you like, send it to the designer, and you'll get it done, and it'll be done in like a day. Arga says, I've been stuck at 4 to 5 thousand for a month for a year now, mainly because that's all the time I can put into work. I'm a mom, I'm a student. I need to shift my prospecting method, Facebook groups, to something less time consuming and automated. Have been thinking about a funnel for myself for a while. I do have a list, and yes, they're high quality leads. Any thoughts on this? Any suggestions would be much appreciated. Arga, I think you have a good problem to have, because most people who are a student and a mom and who have no time would be loved. Most of them anyway would be loved to be making 5,000 a month. Um, Having said that, you have a working process. You're getting people through Facebook groups. So the question is, could you possibly train somebody else to do that? And then on top of that, before you do that, this is one of the most overlooked things in business, is what are all the things that you're doing for the $4,000 to $5,000 a month clients you have now that you could get more leverage out of it? So I'll give you guys an example. Is if I get like something that's working for a client, my first thought is not how can I go get a new client and then like try and do this whole thing again. My first thought is how can I take this exact thing that's working and give it to somebody else who's doing the exact same thing? So if I get a lawyer, for example, and we're actually working on this right now, I got a couple of people we're doing motorcycle cases with. Rather than figure out how to get this whole funnel working and then try and go get somebody new, why not use that same funnel for somebody else who's not their competitor, right? So chances are you're sitting on a whole bunch of gold and you're prospecting and what you want to do, instead of just trying to get clients, any old client to hire you, be more strategic and think about how can I use what I've already created to go get somebody else a result. Because this came up on one of our calls. We have a web designer who, awesome guy. He built like a blog for a cigar place, and then his first thought was, okay, how can I get somebody else to go pay me to do a website? But think about this. If you designed a cigar blog for somebody, there's probably somebody else in the world who also has like a cigar blog they want to do. And chances are you have a now very valuable pitch that says, hey, if you know what you want to say on your blog, I can get this thing built in like hours for you because I already have the designs, I have the templates ready to go. And that's more valuable to them to get that done in 2-3 hours than it is to build something custom and new from scratch. And you can show them it so it's easier to sell because they can envision what it'll look like. So chances are you're working too hard because you're trying to custom design everything. Instead, think about how you can reuse and repackage the things you've already got and get more uses out of it. Without looking at the specifics of your client, it's hard to tell you what that is, but there's chances are you could like double or triple your income without adding even 5 minutes extra work by leasing some intellectual property or something like that. And you could go from 4,000 or 5,000 a month to 20,000 and not add anything to what you're doing. And also you could, standardize your prospecting and get other people to do it for you. Jamari, what's the thing you guys use to get clients? Jamari, I've used them all. I've used Facebook, I've done Google, I've done shitloads of retargeting. I've done email list. I've bought email list. I've done books. I've done referrals. I've done in-person. I've done conferences. I've done speaking. Since 2007, I've probably done just about them all. Sorry, guys. There's a little construction in the background here. It might get a little loud. So I've done them all. And what most people think is like there's one magic method when you're in the beginning stages that's going to get you all your people. And it's really not true because all the methods involve the same thing, which is a person. And people respond to offers. So get your offer dialed in. And what you'll find is you'll suddenly find you can go on Upwork and get a client. You can go to a networking meeting and get a client. You can go to a Facebook group and get a client because they're all like people, right? So like think more about the people. And the best way to like really, if you want to just come up with an offer is like think about how I could like save somebody some time or make them some money like faster than they could do it themselves. And what you'll find is the offer will kind of write itself. So think more about that and think less about where I should go to go do it, because the where depends on who you're trying to reach. Like if I'm trying to reach like a high-end lawyer, I might go to LinkedIn or an in-person networking meeting. If I'm trying to meet people in weight loss, I might go into a Facebook group where they're in. It depends on who you're trying to reach. There's no one way. But what's really, really key is that you're saying the right thing that is meaningful and valuable to them. Okay. Christian says, in your opinion, what's the best and most cost-effective way to get the emails of marketing directors of companies making 20 to 250 million in revenue, not small business here? Christian, in my experience, the email is the worst way to go. So I'm going to tell you, it's the wrong question to be asking. Because if you think you're just going to email blast somebody doing $250,000 a year and they're going to sign up for your shit, they're really, really not. I found that the best way to reach those people personally, and I'm not telling you what to do, but this has just been my experience, is to send them like a FedEx through the mail of what you're trying to reach them, and also to plan to follow up, because people that are really busy and have a lot going on, like you usually have to work pretty hard to get in front of them. So plan to send as many as 10. But if you're trying to reach somebody who's doing $250,000, it's worth it. But don't think you're just going to send them a fucking email spam and they're going to be like, all right, I want to buy all your shit. So, be prepared to get in the trenches and do that. But yeah, direct mail, because you can skip all the secretaries, especially if it's a FedEx and it goes in one of the urgent boxes. Ty says, I can't get my first client. How did you guys do it? Ty, if you send me the details, I'd be happy to look over what you're doing. It's hard without any of the specifics, but I will tell you, where most people struggle with getting a client is in not knowing what they're going to do after they get it. And I'll tell you how this shows up. If you say to a client, hey, I'm going to get you some more leads or whatever, and not that there's anything wrong with that, chances are you probably don't actually know how you're going to get them some more leads, other than like vague ideas like, well, I'm going to use Google, or I'll do SEO, or I'm going to do those things. But when you're really clear about like exactly what you're going to do for a client, what happens is you'll be able to say the meaningful specifics that will get you that client in the first place. So for example, when I first got my first client, it was actually an SEO client, and they came to me. And at this point, I had only ever ranked my own websites. I had gotten good at SEO personally, but I had never done it for anybody else. But when the person came to me and asked me, like, what do you think about this? What's up, Larry Weinstein? When the person came to me for SEO, I could tell them, I think it's going to take you 9 months. I think it's going to cost this much. And I could give them the specifics because I knew exactly what I was going to do because I had been doing it. And so chances are it's not about like the right message to get a client. Usually in the beginning stage, it's because you lack the confidence, because you don't actually know what you're going to do, and they say yes. And I'll give you a funny story. This is true. Kind of embarrassing, but the truth. There was when I was in the beginning of working with lawyers, I don't know, like 5 years ago or whatever, I remember I had gone through like 40 phone calls in a row, and I just got no. What's up, David? Wide awake, nice and not so early in the Philippines. Good to see you, brother. So I got a lawyer though on the phone, and this was after like 40 phone calls, and then I had gone through a coaching program that had kind of helped me with this phone call. So I'd like basically been told no 40 times in a row by clients, not realizing it was my offer and what I was doing. And I actually got a lawyer who said to me, I pitched him for something for $5,000. Couldn't even tell you what it was at this point. But he said, yes, let's do it. And I was so shocked by his answer because I'd been told no so many times in a row. I literally didn't even know what the next step was. And I remember I'd been told by everybody, go use Stripe. And I'd used PayPal for a lot of years, but they said, oh, PayPal is way too high fees. Go use Stripe. So I went into Stripe, and I'm figuring it out as I'm talking to him, and I'm taking his credit card. And then I got to the end, and Stripe gave me some kind of error. It said couldn't process it. And of course, there's no live support. So I had to say, okay, there's some kind of error with it. Let me call you back. And Stripe took like a day and a half to get back. And they said, like, when you first start up an account, it goes into like a sandbox mode, meaning like there's a practice mode. So you can practice doing it, but it doesn't process real money. And you have to turn that off and switch it on to the real mode. And I didn't know that. And so what happened is I couldn't process his credit card. So then I tried calling him up like 2 days later. And by then I had lost the sale. But I literally got a guy to say, yes, I'll give you $5,000, and didn't know what I would do. And that's a bigger struggle in the beginning, not knowing what you will do next, than actually like, knowing what to say. Because when you know what you're going to do for them, the offer almost writes itself, right? Like if I can say to you, hey, it's going to take us 9 months, we're going to have to spend this much money, and we're going to get here. But at the end of it, based on your Google and your keyword and your traffic, I figure you're going to get about 40 phone calls a month. Is 40 phone calls a month worth this fee and waiting this long? And you can say yes or no, right? What's up, John, brother? Good to see you. Glad you love the book, brother. I appreciate you guys. You never quite know when you write a book if people are going to hate it, right? So there's part of it that thinks like, oh, every author goes through this period where you think you're about 95% of the way, and then you go, who am I to write this book? It's the biggest piece of crap ever written. So it actually brings me a great deal of joy, not just that it doesn't suck, but that it actually like meant something meaningful and it can be really useful to you guys in your agency journey. So I hope you get some big nuggets out of that. So I appreciate all you guys who've written me. That really does mean a lot. Sim says, I found my website has a spammer who filled in my contact form and advertised their product and service to me. What is the cause of this? Is there any way to prevent it? The short answer, Sim, is no. You will get people reaching out to you selling stuff so long as you have a business. And actually, it's very funny. When I used to do a lot of SEO, the higher you rank in the search engines, the more like keywords you're number one for, the more people will message you and say, we can get you to number one. So it's going to happen. Yeah, thanks, Larry. I'm glad you like the book too. By the way, I saw your message about the video. I will get back to you later. We've had bureaucracy and children to sort today. And by the way, Melanie reached out and I told her I love you so much. I'm going to hook her up. So just wanted you to know that. But yeah, Sim, so you're going to get spammers reaching out. If it's like really just straight spam, like buy Viagra, you might want to put in some filters, but otherwise you're going to get people trying to sell you shit through your contact form. Take it as a compliment, because the better you do in visibility, the more they're going to reach out to you. Kurt, what would you say for client retention when a client wants to cancel retargeting ads because his business is doing so well and can't handle more business? Thanks in advance, Kurt. Kurt, that is one of the hardest things as an agency owner, is when you actually do such a good job that you get fired. And it happens to all of us at some point. My best advice to you would be this, is be in the really caring about your clients thing and see them more than just like, hey, the box of I sell Facebook ads or Google ads or SEO or web design or whatever you did to get them like so busy that they can't keep up. Great job on that, by the way. But here's the thing. As soon as you get swamped in business, and actually seeing Larry on this message, he can confirm, Larry's been working for years as an accountant. He's also a genius marketer. Larry has, like, in his business model, there's a huge spike for like 2 weeks right before tax time, where everybody just hammers, need to get all this done. And that's common, like, for certain like businesses. Like, a lot of people see spikes around Christmas, like weight loss and things, see spikes around January, February. And during those times, when you're inundated with business, you have a whole lot of problems. They're not, hey, I wish I had new people, but almost always, if somebody came up to you and said, hey, can I help you get some of that work off your plate, whether I can help you bring people in and train new people or whatever you can do to make them easier, see the real asset as that relationship, because what you'll find is they probably need help just getting stuff off their plate. And there's chances are they would be open to any offer in that regard. If your only thing that you'll ever offer them for life is, I'll get you more business, then you're going to be stuck there. But if you just say, hey, I'd love to know how I might still be able to help you. Like, what are the challenges now? So I'll give you an example. I find this when I work with like any high-end service, lawyers, doctors, accountants, engineers, architects, whatever, doesn't matter. As soon as they get a bunch of people, there always comes a challenge where they usually have to hire a bunch of people quickly. And they don't always know how to get good people and how to screen them. And when that happens, if you can help them get them like new people that are pre-screened in front of them, that you can help train them and get them ready, there'll always be a market for that, even in like Corona, even in the busiest economy. So congratulations on getting fired, but now see it as like the next challenge of how you can help them. Andrew, which CRM do you guys like the most? I have Infusionsoft and Active Campaign, but I'm looking to go high level. Ideally, I need something for my client's local business to where I can send emails, two-way text, voicemail drops, all in one platform. Any ideas? So Andrew, that's a good question. I'll just tell you my personal experience. If you're only sending emails, my favorite one is actually Aweber. I started with Aweber. I went away from them for years because they don't really have a lot of features. But then I noticed something, which was you only get paid for emails. You can only ever make money on an email once it's out the door. And I started timing because I would have clients that use everything like eye contact, constant contact, Infusionsoft, Entreport, all of them. Although I've never actually used Go High Level. I've never even actually heard of that. So, but what I would say is I just timed how long it took me to get a campaign out the door, and Active Campaign was so simple that it was the fastest. So I like speed. I'm a big fan of speed. I would say if you're also looking to do text, Active Campaign does do that. You got to pay a little bit extra, but they can send text in the same platform as well. And of course, Infusionsoft will do everything if you're willing to deal with the headaches of Infusionsoft. But my biggest suggestion to you is think about what can do it the quickest, like speed wise, because speed of implementation is going to be the biggest bottleneck if you're doing a lot of it for local businesses. And then also something you may not be thinking about now, but you want to, is you want to be able to create a campaign that you can then copy from one client to the next. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you get a client. So that's a thing most people overlook, is don't build these really complex, hairy, you know, automations and things like that, and then have to reinvent the wheel every single time you get a client. So think about how you can reuse that, because if you're going to do that and build all this value and get somebody results, think about how the next person can benefit from that as well. So I guess that's it for questions that I got right now anyway, at least so for you guys who have a few clients and you want to make that way more consistent, like I said, putting together a little workshop on that. And what we're going to be doing is really tightening up your offers and then getting them in front of people. You're going to be getting in some real conversations, maybe even get rejected a little bit, but you're also going to get some yeses and get some people, especially in Corona, like people really need you right now. They really, really, really need you. If you can like actually help them and deliver value. And we'll talk about how to do that in less complicated ways than what most people are doing. Because I'm not against like doing SEO and things like that. And you guys who are doing that, like if you want to keep doing that, keep doing that. But the problem with SEO is like if somebody hires you now and has to wait a year, like some of these businesses don't have a year. I was reading a stat that said 50% of restaurants that have been closed from this whole thing are now closed permanently, and they expect by the end of the year that will be 80%. So 4 in 5 restaurants that are not coming back if this lasts till the end of the year. Very, very sad. But you want to find ways where you can help people and help them quickly. And get them some sort of meaningful results, usually within the first week, 2 weeks, where you can keep them afloat. Because if you can be a source of cash flow to people right now, so that's what we're going to be doing, is setting up your offer so people say yes, so that we're going to get you in some conversations. And there's a couple of different ways we can do that organically without any paid ads. LinkedIn being one of them, Facebook groups, and then just old-fashioned directly reaching out to them when you have the right offer that works. And then as well, just setting it up so you can get them a quick, easy win and be a source of cash flow. So if you're interested in that, shoot me a private message. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Wednesday, because I wanted to nail over something that's really, really obvious on the offers that I noticed most people aren't doing, that's making it so hard, and it's so simple once you see it. But the problem is it's very counterintuitive, and I did this wrong for years too, so I'm not like giving any of you guys a hard time about it, but it'll make life so much easier. So I'm off to record a webinar. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, especially you guys that got up early morning. I know there's probably better things you could do in the morning than listening to me, but much love to you guys, and I'll see you again next week for this live. I'll see you Wednesday, actually.